Okay, good evening, everyone. I hope we're all fine. So, welcome to our, our SQL class. So, this is our first class, and we started from the crash, giving introduction of what SQL is all about. You understand? So, SQL, otherwise known as SQL, some people call it SQL, while some people call it SQL. It's an acronym for the word structured query language. Some some say that it is structured English query language. So irrespective of it, they are both correct. So you hear some people call it SQL, you hear some people call it SQL. So SQL is um is is a language that is actually written in English that helps to manipulate around database. Understand? And we know that a database is a repository of data where data where we see data, where we can find our data. We have our structured data and we have our unstructured data. Those structured data, those data, they are well arranged. For example, seeing data in rows and columns, they are what? They are structured data. So we have unstructured data. Those ones they are very difficult to manipulate around because they are unstructured. So we have in database we have different types of database. And in the database, we have something that we call an entity. We have something we call an attribute. When we're talking about an entity is like a table in a database. We call it table. You know, a database is just like a repository of data where you see data arranged. We call them tables. A database consists of tables. You can have table one, table two, table three, table four. You understand? So the the attributes of a table is the column. You know, we have column in a table. You understand? Now, let me say, for example, uh, and I would love to say that an SQL works on an entity relational database, something that is arranged in rows and columns. Understand? If I'm not mistaken. So let me explain what an AR model is. We call it entity relational model, we call it AR model. In an AR model, we have an entity and we have an attribute. Though the other that an entity is the table, while the attribute is the what? Is the column. The column in the table, we call it an attribute. Now let me say, for example, we have a book. The book is an entity. You understand? A book. A book is an entity. Okay, let me see it as a library. Look at the library as it is. Library is just like a database where we have a repository or we have books where books are being kept. A book itself is an entity. So it's a table. That book we have that it's such just a book itself. We have its description, we have title, we have the year of publication, the price of the book, the pages of the book, the ISBN number, and the likes. So those things are called what? They are called its attributes. The book is the entity. So those things, those title, edition, year, price, ISBN, pages, and the likes, they are called is what? They are called the book attributes. Are you with me? So they are called attributes. So those are the attributes of the. So I said it earlier that um, I said it earlier that our entity represents our table, while our attributes represent the column you see in a table. So the what was it called? The database, the software, we have different software that we use to write SQL code. We have the PHP admin, we have the XAMPP, we have a lot of them, a lot of them. Even we have what's it called? Cloud database for SQL. So we have that. Example of those cloud database that we have IBM DB2, we have databases for PostgreSQL, we have Oracle database, cloud service. We have Microsoft Azure SQL database. These databases are cloud database, don't forget. We have Amazon relational database services and the likes. So, but the database we'll be using for this tutorial is using Microsoft SQL Server, you understand? So that will be the listing we'll be using for this class. And probably we might use IBM DB2. So in SQL, we have, or let me say in SQL, we have statements in SQL. We have the DDL and we have the DML. You understand? The DDL, we call it the data definition language. There are some statements in SQL that is meant to that we use for defining language. So we call it DDL language. So what do we use this DDL for? We use them to define, use them to change data, and we use them to drop data. So those are the words, those are the DDL. So the second type of SQL statement that we have is the DML, that is the data manipulation statement. So these ones we use it to manipulate around data. So these data manipulation language statements, they are used to read and modify data in our table. Understand? Use them to read and what and modify data. An example is our CRUD operations. Call it CRUD. CRUD. That CRUD means to create, to read, to update, and to delete. So we have C, create, R, read, update, U, update, and what? Our D, to what? To delete. So I said it that examples of our DDL statements, we have create, we have alter, we have truncate. We have truncate means to delete data in the table, but not the table itself, just to delete data in the table. When you alter, it means you want to change data. You can either alter, you alter in column, you can either add a column or delete a column. So when you create a table, you know that. So those ones are data definition language, and I've talked about the data manipulation language too. So also we need to note that DDL is used for defining objects. So we use data definition language to define objects, that is tables. While our DML is used for what? Manipulating data in a table. We use it to manipulate around what? We use it to manipulate around table. So we use it to manipulate data in a table. So we don't really have much to do today. What we just want to do today is to teach you how to create a database, to teach you how to create a table, and also how to insert data into a table. So let's start. So I have creating database. Oh, can you guys see my screen like this? Can you guys screen like this? I'm coming. Let me try to. Okay, I would love to change this thing because since you guys do not see what I'm writing, I'm creating database. Okay, let me just change this thing. The theme options automatic white. Okay, good. So you have creating database. Make it bigger so you guys can see. Okay, now we want to create a database. So what we just do is now there's one thing I want you guys to understand that SQL is not um is not, how would I say it? Is not case sensitive, which means either I write in capital letter or I write in small letter, those commands, you definitely understand what I'm trying to say. Now we use the create statement to create our database. So create database. Now this one I did the first one, this double slash is used for commenting. Or we can also comment like this. I think it's like this, this coming up. Yeah, that's also a comment. So either of the two, you are right. Either you comment the way in the first one or you comment by the second one. So either of the two, you are what? You are absolutely what? Absolutely right. So to comment, you can also use Control K plus Control C. Let me see. Creating, you can also use Control creating database. So just highlight it. So Control K, Control C. So create database. Database. What's the name of our database? Let's call it tutorial. So created our database. Very simple, as easy as that. So just run it, go to execute. So to run the code, we have successfully created, hence the commands completed successfully. So we successfully created our database. Now you should notice that I put in a semicolon. So uh, SQL uses this semicolon to identify that you are through with a line of code and you want to move on to the next code. Understand? So after creating database, the next one is to create our table. So create, so we have create table. So what should we name our table? I want I want to name it international students scores. International international student test score. You understand? So international student test score. After you've done that, now I told you earlier that we have different database for right. We have different platform for writing SQL, and sometimes some of their code might differ from each other. Sometimes, sometimes. So there are some things you use here. By the time you use it in PHP admin, it won't work. There are some things so you just need to choose the one you are going for and master it very well. So we have to create table, the national database. So our values, we have, let me call it ID. So the ID of the students, understand? So the ID, we have ID. So these are the things that I want to be contained. Those are the columns, you understand? I want it to be contained in the database. So int, the ID will be an int. To be an int, aside from being an int, to be my what primary key. Oh, sorry, primary key. So that's it. So if I'm through with that, the next one is to do what? Let's go to the country. We say it is international. So we have country. Country is a voucher, so it's a variable character. You understand? We have ordinary child, we have voucher, and the likes. So the maximum number you can set max. Okay, I want the country name should not be more than 50. You understand? That country, we have the first name. The first name is also a voucher. It's also a voucher. You understand? So it is 50. So comma. We have last name, last name is voucher 50. So you can set limits to what you want. So the test score, we have test score. Our test score will be what? Will be 8. So we can put some other things. Which other details should we put? So we can use other, okay, let me say email. Do you need to use email? So to start writing email will be a problem for us. So let's just use another thing. What else can we use to start? Let's say phone number, for example, phone number. Okay, let's say um, country code, country code, and we are just from here we are assuming that the country code is a phone number. You understand? Like a phone number. So what we just do is the country code. So you can use big int. You understand? So, but here we want to set the country code to be 4. Now this big int means that uh, the what's it called? The how will I call it? The It's big int anyways. Big int, which means the country code we are dealing with is big int. We're having error here. Why are we having error? I'm coming. Let me go back here and let me use database tutorial. If you look at this page, this top here, if you look at this top here, I'm having where this my mouse is. Let me just highlight it so you guys can see it. If you look at this top here, this place, where I'm currently working on is the master database. You understand? So if I should run this code now, if I should run this create table international, it will not store. I want this table to be under my tutorial. You understand? I want the table to be under my tutorial. So how will I do that? Let me cancel this. So how would I do that? Let's just continue. Why is it bringing error? Let me run this and see why it's bringing error. Use tutorial. Coming. Okay. Yeah, are you with me? Let me run this first. I don't know why this thing should run. Okay. That page. That's the reason why this is bringing error. So it's bring in to just cancel this. Because this will work. Mostly it works for table. Anyways, let's continue. So we have create table international student score. So let me set this to tutorial. So now I'm now working on that tutorial database. So I can just select everything like this and do what? Click and execute. Okay. Now I've executed everything like this. So what are we doing next? We want to insert values into this thing. So if we are to insert values, what do we use? If we want to insert values into our database, what do? We use insert into the table, which is this. Let me just copy this. Let me copy this. Let me copy this. Insert into. I have this table. So the table contains ID, it consists of ID. We have country, comma, we have first name, comma, we have last name, comma, we have country code, comma, we have test score. Okay. So after you specify this, the next thing is to write in our values that I want to put in. So you can just say values, then you now start. The first one is our ID. So the ID is 1. The country, which country? Let's say United States. United, United States, United States. Since United States is in red, so what do? We have to think it to use. Don't think it to use. Okay, good. So it uses. I'm used to this. Because most programming language are set to double quotes. To use that one, we have United States. The person first name is what? Person first name is say Marshall. Marshall. We close it. The person's last name is what? Last name is, let's say, dot. So this should be country code. That won't be making mistake. This is country code. You need to be very careful. Country code. And we specify that our country code is big int, so we don't need to. So let's just put. Let me put 234. No, let me see. So I will assign 1 to 1 for United States. That we have our first is 54. So good. After you are through, you put comma. Then the ID will be 2. Since I've set my ID to the primary key, if I should put in 1, okay, let's continue. If I should put in 1 as my ID, it will say wrong. Understand? Sometimes when you want to input data into the database, and you want the data to be to not to contain not digits. From here, I can just say that my first name, I can specify here that not none. So which means no matter what happens, if the person did not put the first name, accept that details in. So you can put in as not none. So we'll continue in our next. I will share this thing. We'll continue there.